Thank you for the initial introduction, Vijay. See, sustainability in mining, it's not a new term, frankly, Sustainability and being a responsible miner globally have been there for last 10 to 15 years, if not before that. But if you come back to India, sustainability has been something which has been ingrained in our culture, our ethos, our values. But when we talk about mining and we talk about sustainability, let me at the same time say that the public perception and the public opinion is not really good. And why is that? Because fundamentally in mining we are extracting something out of the earth, out of Mother Nature, and taking out resources from the earth. So therefore it becomes and in the process, by the way, polluting environment. So therefore it becomes, it comes in the eye, it comes in the glare, and therefore how do we do mining in a more responsible way is a very pertinent question. But if we go back and try to understand why the problem remains, right, the fundamental is that mining companies make a lot of revenues. The EBITDAs are anywhere between 40 to even 100% EBITDAs, right? Whereas the people that stay around where the mining is done continue to remain poor, continue to be ignorant. And that's where, and they don't see the benefit. That's where really the conflict begins, right? That's where the conflict begins. So how do we resolve it, and what does sustainable development really mean? I think, at least to me, I would characterize it as, development is necessary, but what is sustainable development, okay? It's a development that meets the ends of today or the needs of today while ensuring that our future generations have the opportunity and the ability to meet their ends also. We don't compromise that. That's what sustainable development is. Mining can frankly become more sustainable by doing a couple of things. I'll give 3 examples as I talk today. But fundamentally, there are 4 or 5 things that we need to do. 1, reduce water and energy consumption, minimize land disturbance and waste production as we do mining, prevent soil, water and air pollution while we do this, and conduct successful mine closures. So it's an end-to-end responsibility as we get into mining. I'll talk about 3 things. I'm sure our panelists will cover a lot of areas, but I'll just, in the interest of time, touch upon 3 things, right? First is what I call a social license to operate. Globally and also in India, communities are becoming more and more aware of their rights and the situations, okay? And mining companies who will really show empathy and who will care for the community will be the ones who will have that social license to operate, and going forward will be the ones which will be able to do sustainable mining for years to come. And what do I mean by that? Companies need to really care for the people and the community around. Educate them, empower them, give them the right resources, help them grow and come out of poverty. And you need to really do this as not as a obligation, but something which comes from within, and this is for the mining companies particularly. Okay, I'll give an example of Australia, and I was talking to one of the environment secretaries in Queensland a couple of years back, and she told me that in reality, to make this sustainable mining work, the companies, the government, and the community have to work hand in hand. The companies need to start years before they even go into exploration. Not when they are mining, the metal out or the mineral out. You need to go in there, understand the local culture, understand the local community, what they need, years before you even start exploring the ground there, let alone forget about developing a mine and actually mining there. That's what social responsibility, social license to mine is. The second point I want to make is about using technology in making this sustainable, responsible mining happen. And what does that really mean? When I mine, there is bound to be some damage to the environment, I have to take out mineral from the earth, waste from the earth. So there is bound to be some imbalance that's going to happen. How do I make sure I use the right technology to regenerate? Okay? Technology to make sure that I use the minimum water required, the minimum energy required, the best way of mining so that I use my resources to the fullest, and thereby, create minimum damage to the environment around. And one example, by the way, is, which I want to really talk about, is a Canadian example. I won't name the mine, but a mining company which came in and really invested about 10% of its total project costs to make sure that, and invested in technology to make sure that they are much more efficient in what they are doing. In the process, they conserved the groundwater, they minimized the pollution that is there around, okay, and were able to do their operations sustainably. Why go outside, right? Even in India, I don't know, many of us know that the Chhattisgarh belt, which is where the coal mining is, and where a lot of us have a lot of complaints to environment, the fact is that in last 20 years, the forest cover in those mining areas has actually gone up, not gone down. And that's what sustainability is. That, what you take out, can you give back more? Can you put back forest cover more, right? And it's all about technology, automation, using the right newest techniques to make this happen quickly. And the third example the third point I want to make is a lot of damages can happen when we go for closure of mines. And India is in a cusp where in the next 10 to 15 years, a lot of mines, or if not mines, at least specific large working pits across all minerals will have to close or partially close. And when we close mines, it can create a lot of problems for people who have had employment there. Just if we are not able to reclaim the right set of things, the voids that will leave in the earth, as well as the long-term implications that will happen. I'll take an example of the Sullivan mine in North America. For a successful mine closure. This mine closed in 2001. By the way, it was operating for 90 years before which this closure was done. But this closure was done in a very systematic way. They started thinking about it 20 years in advance in the 1980s when the mine was to close in 2000, finally closed in 2001. This mine had given, by the way, $20 billion of revenues to the company. The company is Tech Resources. And from early 80s, Tech engaged the government and the community in a very proactive way to say what we need to do for the community so that when the mine closes, the livelihoods are not lost. Okay, and the good thing is that part of Canada, by the way, is a very, a very scenic type of a land, which has rocky mountains and so on. So they came up with a plan, the government and the company came up with a plan together of developing tourism in a big way. And today we know, that part of the world is a big tourism hotspot. They got in investments over years. Tech invested a lot of money to make that happen. Community supported, government supported, and they were able to get this mine closure done quickly. So I think to summarize, when we talk about what is sustainable and responsible mining, it's an end-to-end value chain. It's not about just looking at things and trying to just put money and make things happen. Right from the start, even before you start, till the time, even after closure, you need to be doing the right set of things to mine in a responsible way. Second, very, very important to engage stakeholders, be it the government, be it the community, be it your peers in the industry. You need to engage them through and through to make that happen. And third, I think it's really a question of mindset and culture. वो नियत होनी चाहिए. You need to really do that. You need to have that care and empathy and not just lip service to make it happen. And that's how I think we'll be able to do the right things. Thank you.